Hey everyone, it's Clint, and I've got a very serious video to make here. Adobe is destroying the comic book industry. If you thought it was anything else, political propaganda, if you thought it was low sales, it doesn't matter what you thought it was, okay? This is bipartisan, nonpartisan, unequivocally, if done anything in comics, read comics, even walked near a comic book shop sometime in your lifetime, this is going to ruin everything. So we're going to get into that. First, Fatal is on Indiegogo. If you want a good looking comic with good lettering, look at that lettering. Placement, great lettering, great art, great writing, fantastic book. Check it out. It's in the link in the description below. All right. So Adobe Max 2020 is coming up. I actually went to this conference once and it was truly amazing. I would totally want to go again. It was like all creative people getting together. They had great panels, workshops. I got a free camera, like a DSLR camera, a free camera. Everyone had one under their chair. It was like that level of, anyway, it was cool. Great convention. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so they put this out. This is Photoshop, but for comics. This is the Adobe product. This is how they're going to finally address comic creators and how they can make comics easier for you. We're going to go through this, and fair warning. We'll make a big screen, why not?
Hi, I'm Garima and I love reading comics.
She does not love reading comics. That's like a serial killer saying, I love people.
And can I let you in on a little secret? I have recently started designing one, but I think you will agree.
There's a red flag. Designing a comic. You're not writing it. You're not creating it. You're not anything in it. You're designing it. I've never met anybody that says, hey, I'm designing my comic now. Are you like designing a page? A single page maybe? But to think of the whole thing as a design project, this is a red flag.
Agree that designing comic like a pro is no easy task. I have to
Okay, so here's the one thing, disclaimer. If they had said you would be designing comics like an amateur, or this is a fun way for middle grade students to get their feet wet in comics, I would shrug this off and say, okay, that's fine. But when you say you're designing comics like a pro, and you're Adobe for crying out loud, and this is what you give comic creators, you deserve to be held to the same standard as a professional. This was a total waste. I don't even know how many designers you had placed on this. Wrong. I could think of so many tools that would help comics creation if you wanted to make one single software platform that was going to be the end all be all to comics and all comics creators were going to buy it. I could give you suggestions, but not this. Please, not this.
write the script, plan the layout, draw the art, create speech bubbles, compose the lettering, and put them together. Panel by panel, one by one, page by page by page.
That
There
easy.
has to be a better way of doing this. Presenting
The first way that you're doing it, dragging and dropping individual elements, is not the right way to do it. Who makes comics like that? You don't drop panels in and pre-done lettering. That's how you scrapbook, like digital scrapbooking. This is not making comics.
Comic Blast, a fun and easy way to create pro comic books. Let's have a look.
Again, pro comic books, not amateur.
Scripts for comics typically follow a structure, and Comic Blast powerful AI algorithms have been trained to analyze such scripts and identify components like panel, SFX text, dialogue, and speech bubbles. All I need to do is import the script and press this magic button. And voila!
Voila! Are you not entertained? You don't have to send this to an artist. uh, you write a script, you have a comic. That's all you got to do. I I tweeted this thing to Eric Weathers. I said, "How about that lettering placement?" Oh my gosh, this is a surefire way. And I've talked to Peter Simeti on this. Like, what's some of the biggest mistakes you see in comic submissions? You know what the first thing he says is lettering. That's the first thing. It's a dead giveaway. If your lettering is terrible like this, everything's a perfect oval. This is terrible. And there's a tangent. It's preset for tangents to happen. All right, a little bit more.
My entire comic book comes to life in a matter of seconds. Creating comic books just became 100 times faster. I can change the page layouts instantaneously while retaining all the components on the page.
With total disregard for the artwork. So the the panel layout, uh, oh gosh, the artwork won't matter at all. You just lay out the panel. It's just an afterthought. It's the literal last thing that you're gonna put in, just to fit around the lettering.
I can even adjust the space between two panels or create new panels on the fly. I can even merge two speech bubbles into one by a simple drag and drop. After all, it never feels complete without that personal touch.
I've got to say, I think that they would have some room for tool that you could make lettering easier, like connecting balloons like that. Like that one little feature seems like it would be useful. And I would bet that there are a few others. For instance, like if you're putting together a comic book page, in my experience, you end up maybe it's colored in Photoshop, and then it moves over, and you're using InDesign for the lettering, and then you're using, or excuse me, you're using Illustrator for the lettering, and then you move it to InDesign for prepress. If you could put all that into one place, and you could have one file that combines pages or something like that, if you did it all together, that would be really helpful. That could make sense to me, but not this.
To add the art, I simply import my hand-drawn sketch, which gets auto-traced instantaneously. I can
Oh,
even add the art
inkers are out of work now. Inkers have no point. All it did is it took these sketches and made them darker. This is the inking that we're looking at here. Why? This is never called for. This is not professional comics. I saw Jim Zub. I think it was Jim Zub posted. Do you talk to actual photographers when you make Photoshop and work on that product? You talk to professional photographers and see how they would use your product. Why on earth would you not talk to a professional comic book creator or watch like one YouTube video on how to make comics? Uh, who is this helping? This is not pro level comics.
using my favorite app, Fresco. Comic Blast not only changes the way you design comics, it
And those are the colors that we're going to go with.
also reimagines how you consume them. For instance, CAN based image synthesis enables me to assign morphing capabilities to the face of any character.
You can morph the face.
So, next time when reading a comic, I can add my own selfie to it.
Oh, let's see. Oh,
Ta da! I can even add a branching narrative storyline format. So, depending on
so this is choose your own adventure comic. That could be cool, actually. If you were going to go to digital comics, if that was the goal, can you import regular old, properly done comic book pages and then use your platform to make them digital comics and do some fun stuff like this? That could be cool. I could see some use for that. That would be useful, but not starting with images and lettering like this.
which egg I choose, the story will progress accordingly. I bet I'm never going to get bored of reading the same comic
Ever again. That's because you won't be reading this comic ever again. Uh, it's the worst. If comics were like this, nobody would read them.
again. Not only this, Comic Blast enables you to add cool motion graphic and animation to your comic books.
Okay, motion graphics and animation, this could be a big deal. You'll see a little bit of this kind of stuff that happens in professional digital comics. There's that push. I don't remember what it was a few years ago. Mark Waid was one of the guys on it that they were trying to design something for comics, a platform, I think it was, to make motion graphic comics that were exceptional. You know, it enhanced the medium. It created a new medium. Let's see if it can do it.
For instance, in this frame, I can add a simple animation and preview the effect. Wow. Let's add
Do you see that? It kind of swelled and moved outward a little bit. That could be helpful. How do you import a regular comic page though? If you've already got it designed correctly and you just wanted to add that effect, can you do that? You should have led with this. This is what comic creators, presumably you want to sell this to a comic book professional if you're going to be making professional comics with it. Why wouldn't you not lead with that? And have some good art on it, some like professional looking art, not some random computer colored art.
a complex animation of rotation and
Okay,
preview.
add it down. Yeah, even more. Things are
Wonderful.
spinning.
In this frame here, let's add depth effect.
You can just add depth. What did that do?
Wow,
Okay,
it's an awesome parallax effect.
very cool.
Comic blast.
Okay, so animation stuff that could be helpful. Still not how I would prefer to read comics, but you see that kind of stuff out there. So that could be helpful when you advertise it as for professionals and when you have a reputation like Adobe does for actually making products that are for professionals. How dare you? How dare you make make this? This has confirmed to me though that creatives will never be replaced by computers. And if you're not into comics and you're seeing this and you think, hey, that could work, that looks pretty good, you haven't read comics. You haven't actually looked at what make comics great. Photoshop's a fantastic software. It's an application. InDesign is great. Illustrator, everything Adobe does, it seems to be great, and it's tailored to exactly what professionals need. And then all of a sudden you have this. What problem are you trying to solve? If you want to make comics easier, I think that's a good idea. There's some things that you could do to make it easier. I think for lettering, you could make it easier. I think there's a lot of things you could do to make it easier. Having everything in the same place, being able to add colors and sort of manipulate all the different components, I could see some help for that. Maybe even animating, pre-press kind of stuff. Why don't you automate or just make that easier? That would be helpful. Not this, please no. Anyway, so now that Adobe has ruined comic books, you can blame it on Adobe. They'll take full responsibility. If you want a comic that doesn't look like it was created by a 10-year-old, check out Fatal on Indiegogo right now. It's in the link in the description below, and help us. I'm going to refresh this. I think we got it back, or help us get to, there we go. Yes. Help us get to $85,000 and beyond. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.